The former outlaw named Ryder brings hell to the town of the dead on her journey to confront death before death confronts her. We're going to talk about it in our review of Ain't No Grave #2 from Image Comics. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of Ain't No Grave #2. Before we get started, let's recap briefly what happened in issue #1. Readers were introduced to Ryder, a retired hired gun and outlaw who now resides in a homestead with her husband and daughter. Ryder's life gets turned upside down when she learns she's contracted a terminal disease and she's very close to death. But rather than just lying down and taking it, the perennial fighter decides to dust off her spurs and her 6-shooters and embark on a mystical, magical journey to find and kill death before he kills her. And that brings us to Ain't No Grave #2. Ryder has now entered the town of Cypress, which is a waypoint between this life and the afterlife, and she's confronted by the local sheriff, who knows Ryder has entered prematurely. He tells her, "It's not your time, you shouldn't be here." When the sheriff lowers his rifle and takes aim at her, Ryder guns him down, letting her know that she means business, that she can kill everybody in Cypress, and that all she wants to do is be on her way without any trouble, even though she's kind of already started it. Suddenly, the skies open up and small bits of paper that are in flames start raining down on the crowd people and the town people of Cypress. But as the flaming paper gets closer to the ground, it starts growing instead of shrinking. And by the time it reaches the ground, she sees that it is a wanted poster with her face on it, proclaiming that anybody who brings in Ryder dead will get a reward. And now the entire town starts pulling out their revolvers and the weapons and anything else they got on hand and start chasing her. Being held at gunpoint is nothing new, so we switch over to a flashback to a moment when Ryder was in the middle of robbing a train while she was pregnant with her daughter. She's cornered by a marshal and his deputy, and Ryder is given the chance to give up before anyone else gets killed. But she knows if she's captured, that her baby will be born eventually, but as soon as the baby's born, it will be taken away and then she'll be sent off to execution. So rather than let that go, she decides to fight her way out, no matter who gets hurt or killed in the process. That brings us back to now. Ryder starts shooting her way through the crowd of Cypress, stabbing, hanging, doing anything she can to get away. She eventually ducks into a storehouse where a young man who's in this harness of ropes that he uses to get around gives her some cover and a little bit of respite from the pursuing mob. He also gives her a bit of information because she is not the first person to come to Cypress to do what she's planning to do. And he says to her, if you get to the riverboat that's down by the docks on the water, and the boat's name is Her Blind Majesty, that'll get you one step closer to confronting death. What follows right after that is a frantic chase through Cypress to reach the water. She's on top of a large, black, demonic-looking goat, which is the most unusual ride you've probably seen in a while. And she eventually does make it to her next destination, which is to get aboard Her Blind Majesty. But it doesn't come easily, and she winds up getting shot through in the chase. And when she gets on the boat, she finds that the attendees of that particular boat ride are a little unusual. And that's it, short and to the point. So let's talk about the character development. Scotty Young takes a small but important swerve in Ryder's story because we see what kind of an outlaw she was before she settled down with her husband and the birth of her daughter. And what you see is, just to put it plainly, Ryder is a murderer. She's not just some robber who stole from the rich or gave to the poor. There's nothing, how would you say it? There's nothing particularly empathetic or sympathetic about her character. She was a cold-blooded killer, and that adds some strange layers of complexity to the story because now you, in the first issue, wanted to root for her because you wanted her to somehow overcome and cheat death so she could be with her family, who she loves dearly. But at the same time, now you get this conflicting sense of emotions that she kind of deserves to be dead. As a matter of fact, she deserved to be dead a long time ago. So that makes the whole concept of the story now complex and even complicated, and that serves to make the story more interesting because you don't know how you feel about her and where it's going to go next. Moving over to the artwork, Jorge Corona's sort of exaggerated whimsical style is fantastic in this issue. You get a mix of sort of this whimsy, almost like a fairy tale fantasy fable kind of vibe, but it's combined with gritty Old West violence, something that you would see out of a hard boiled uh, Western crime noir story. So it's kind of an unusual mix to put those together, but Corona pulls it off beautifully. And you're not going to see any comic like this on the shelves right now. Let's move over to pacing and structure. So both of them are pretty darn close to perfect. When Ryder enters the town and decides to put the sheriff down before the situation gets out of hand and ugly, Ryder's quest from the first issue, which was essentially a hunter quest, rapidly turns into a race to avoid capture, which mixes a combination of fast-paced action and some edge of your seat tension because now she's hiding in corners, especially when she meets that young man who gives her information about the steamboat. And so you have this atmosphere of tension where you wait to find out if she gets caught or not. And then let's take a look at the plot structure. It takes several steps forward because, rightfully so, or actually say properly so, Scotty Young doesn't linger in Cyprus too long. You get what you need to know about Ryder from her interaction with the townspeople. You understand what the town's about and how it fits into basically the journey of the afterlife for people who have died. And then the plot sort of gives you all these developments about her character, where she goes next, what she has to do when she gets there, and what she discovers along the way. And it's all important, it's all engaging, and nothing feels wasted. So it's great script all the way around. Now, because you have so much complexity both in the character and the script development, that makes the theme a little bit difficult to point to or pin down. The first issue really established the story as a clear hunt. She's on the hunt for somebody that she wants to kill for some personal goal. The second issue, at least temporarily, is basically a race for survival. So even though there might be an overarching theme of somebody trying to get something that maybe they don't deserve, the individual issues are all exploring different themes, and that's kind of what makes this reading experience so very interesting. So final thoughts, what do we think about Ain't No Grave #2? It's another stellar issue in this series. It's only been 2 issues, but so far we're over the moon about it. It's fantastic. Scotty Young's Old West fable about a former outlaw on a quest to cheat death now takes a little bit of a turn when it develops Ryder into a bad person with good, but albeit selfish intentions. Plus, you lay on top of that Jorge Corona's stylistically exaggerated art, which is outstanding and a fantastic fit for the story that's being told here. All the pieces work together to kind of give you a mix of Old West grit and sort of whimsical fantasy fable storytelling. It all fits together beautifully. Therefore, we're going to give Ain't No Grave #2 from Image Comics a 9.5 out of 10, one of our highest scores in a while. And this issue deserves it because it's giving you everything you want and even more that you didn't even realize you wanted. So it all fits together. Let us know. Give us a thumbs up if you like sort of Old West stories with a little bit of a magical twist or a supernatural twist. And if you read this issue, leave a comment down below. We want to know your thoughts on it. So thank you very much for joining. Please stay tuned for the outro if you like more reviews just like this one.